Welcome back to the terrific Every Other Thursday training videos. I'm Christopher Brannon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
And I'm George Williams. I am the Next Search Catalog Coordinator at Northeast Kansas Library System. Oh my God, there's bugs behind you. We must be about to talk about a bug again.
It is another bug video, yes. Today, George is going to talk about a bug, talking about messaging preferences. So he'll get into that in just a moment, but first, here is a quick message about koha-US.
This video is sponsored by koha-US, your place to look for all things Koha. Whether you're just starting out with Koha, or you've been with Koha for a while, koha-US is a great place to find resources, learn new tips and techniques, or connect with other users and libraries. Koha-US provides excellent information, both original and curated from around the internet, including the terrific Every Other Day training videos. You will also find several special interest groups to connect with, as well as our general monthly meeting where we gather to talk about the latest Koha news. You should also check out the koha-US annual conference, held at various locations around the US. This is a great opportunity to meet with other users face-to-face, and build your Koha network, as well as new friendships. And of course, don't forget about the great presentations. Koha-US is also actively involved in the Koha community by contributing towards new developments. If you are interested in contributing towards Koha-US funded developments, join the Koha-US membership. Your annual membership builds the funds to sponsor new developments in the community, and as a member, you also help shape Koha-US with your membership votes, and receive a discount on the annual conference. You can also contribute towards developments through a direct donation, or by purchasing some great koha-US merchandise through our Threadless account. Visit us at koha-us.org to find out more.
All right, George, take us down this windy path.
Well, I can actually demo this bug. And it's a bug that's been around for a couple of years. I guess Lucas from Bywater Solutions first reported it in 2020, but I didn't have anybody that told me about this bug and explained the problem to me until just a couple of weeks ago. So the bug is number 26520. So I'm going to do new patron, adult. It doesn't matter if they're an adult or whatever. The patron category doesn't really seem to matter. So I'm just going to create a patron. This only happens when you create a new patron. It doesn't happen if you're editing a patron that already exists.
Igor.
All right, I don't think I've ever done an Igor. Give him a birthday because that's required in our system. Give him a card number. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to delete them in just a minute anyway. They need a username. And I'll just let LastPass give them a password. So we have these messaging preferences set as defaults for almost all of our patron categories in Next Search Catalog. And if you don't have an email, this is what they're set as default for email. If you don't put an email address in there, nothing happens. There's no consequence to leaving these checked if the patron doesn't have an email address in their email field. But I have one library where the patron, whether or not any of these are checked, the patron's going to get the overdue notices. So the patron wanted the overdue notices. The library wants them to have the overdue notice, but they didn't want any of these extra emails. So the librarian, when creating these patrons, would uncheck all of the options. All of the default options are unchecked. And then what she noticed is when you click on save, if you unclick all of the defaults are set when you click save. And so those are the conditions. You have to have some defaults set for the patron messaging preferences, you have to uncheck all of this defaults and then save when creating a new patron, and it obliterates all of those checkbox. It puts it back to the default. Once you've created the patron, you can go in and uncheck all of these and save, and it will save it properly, but it won't save properly when you're creating a new borrower.
And okay, so you have to, doesn't matter what combination of settings, default settings you have, it doesn't save your changes if you've cleared all of them. But if you've made an adjustment to one or two of them,
if you just
works just fine.
If you just uncheck one of them, it saves without any problems at all. It only happens if you unclick all of the defaults for the messaging preferences. Then you have to go back in and edit and turn them all off again. And so I don't know what the explanation for that is. And like I said, it's bug number 26520. It's got a couple of comments on it, but I think that's one of the reasons that it took so long for any of our staff to bring it to my attention, is because it doesn't happen that often where you have somebody where you want to turn off all of those default preferences, but when you do, you can't do it. There are a couple of other similar bugs where there's another one, 34776, that's similar, where if there's a change to when you're creating a patron, if you change the messaging preferences and then for whatever reason it doesn't save, there are a couple of bugs. There's one in that case too, it won't it will reset when you, after it says, oh, it failed, it will reset the checkboxes back to their defaults. But it will also, if you've tried to input a guarantor, that gets wiped out too. And it seems like there might be one other situation. I think there's one other situation, but I don't have the bug number for that handy. Okay. So there are a couple of situations where if you make a, like if you don't fill out a required field, and then you click save, it won't save the things that you've changed on the account so far, like the guarantor and the messaging preferences. But this is similar to that, but it's different, because if you clear all of those, doesn't matter what else you do, it doesn't matter how perfect the account is, it just brings them all back. So
rare circumstances, but can really,
really annoying.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So that original bug was 26520.
Yeah.
And it is still in a new status. There's only a few comments on it. It was reported back in 2020, but you recently added comments, so it's showing modified October of 23. So yeah, we could use more people to weigh in on that, but yeah, I mean, that'll get you, and it'll cause people to scratch their heads. Why is this way when we set this? Won't happen a lot, so I can see why it's not a high priority thing, but it is important. I mean, we need Koha to do what we tell it to do. So
yeah, I should add too that we are on Koha 2211. So this is still an issue on Koha 2211. And we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, and I do show that the version the version set in this is master, so apparently it's still applied to master, so it's still a problem in the latest version.
Yes, I believe before I added my comment to the bug, I tested it in a sandbox, and it was still happening in the sandbox. So,
all right. Well, George, thank you for sharing that bug, and we'll continue to share bugs here that we think are of interest or important. as we go along, but we'll be back with more training videos in another 2 weeks. But please remember to check us out at koha-US.org for all of our videos and other resources. You can also find
Can they be found on YouTube?
We can also find our videos at youtube.com/koha-US, no hyphen. You can check us out. You can like our videos, comment, and subscribe. You can do everything that you need to do to keep up to date and show your interest in our videos. So until next time in 2 weeks, we'll see you later.
See you later.